Being an educator is one heck of a lonely journey, but every step holds a story, an experience that shapes how we teach, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Educator Experience. I'm your host, Sally Carter, and together we'll explore the moments that define us as educators. Through authentic conversations and shared experiences, we're building a community that connects, reflects, and inspires, all while breaking down barriers in education, one story at a time. You are not alone. Let's grow together. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Educator Experience podcast. Today, we're exploring what working towards truth and reconciliation is from an Indigenous perspective. I'm your host, Sally Carter, and joining me is Joanne Buffalo. As a young elder apprentice, Joanne is a proud member of the Nisconnet Indian Band. She's an advocate for Every Child Matters, working towards a society that prioritizes the welfare and well-being of our children. And she's also committed to supporting truth and reconciliation efforts for First Nations people, with a particular focus on the importance of kinship, prayers, and ceremonies in the healing process. Joanne, thank you so much for joining me today. I should be wearing my Nisconnet Indian Band hoodie, but I was tearing it up in the mountains, quadding all weekend, wearing it, and it is really dusty and dirty, but it would be perfect if I was. I'd love to start off with that you do a lot of work with local school boards and school districts to support truth and reconciliation efforts. I'm curious to know what that experience is like for you.
Good morning. I'm Joanne Buffalo Manuel, and I'm from the Nisconnet Indian Band. I came back. I was in Alberta for 37 years, but I've been back 3 years. I just started with Nisconnet Education for part-time and helping with graduations and events and setting them up. As I stayed longer, I started getting invited to meetings. Some of them were with the Aboriginal Education Committee of School District 73. And we also were part of the School District 83. So 73 is part of Kamloops and area surrounding schools. This is, I guess, my third graduation I helped put together. And we had over 250 grads in Kamloops area for School District 73. And School District 83 was 120 plus. And that's our children of Métis and treaty and status. Some of them have such amazing stories, and some of them not even realizing of their native heritage. So a lot of things that, is all part of healing and part of our roads to truth and reconciliation too, for students that have almost lost identities. And, down the health field and healing roads, you find that children, adults, anyone, they're seeking to find out who they are, their true purpose and being of life itself. So my mom and I, we took part with the School District 83 graduation. They invited us to help smudge some of the graduates and families if they requested it. So we did that 2 years in a row. And, we had actually people come up and said, this is the first time since I was a little girl or, young person that anybody brushed me off or smudged me. And they had tears. We're trying to have a celebration moment, but we're also healing the same time. So, and because they explained that they were part of the 60s scoop. So they were taken away from their families and placed with other families. And so they learned to be almost like a dual identity. So they're learning of both worlds to know the technical parts of life, you know, of mind and matter, and how to get day to day. But it comes down to the spiritual being and the mental health and the emotions, and then the physical. So you have to have all those things in good balance. Part of my experience is sitting with some of the committees. I was a home care nurse by trade in Alberta. I worked with Musqueam Health Services for about 30 years. Not always as a nurse, but started as a receptionist and ended up working almost every department, every field in the office. Then I became a home care nurse. But that's where I found my true nature as a caregiver. And, it's been instilled with me to be a caregiver. I'm the eldest, or firstborn. My dad calls me firstborn of 8, and I'm still, carrying the torch, so to speak. But that's what older sisters do. So I'm training into for being a matriarch in my family, is helping and keeping the family together.
And with your work on the committee, what are you noticing that's going really well?
We share about our successes in our own corners, and we share resources of programs or of connections that we're trying to develop our children in our area. Any matter the fact that concerns or issues, we share them there, and they're a wealth of information. So it's really awesome to work together, and they actually have some documented film. I know School District 73 for the Aboriginal. They have a beautiful film. Um, can't remember the title of it right now,
That's
but
okay. I'll look it up after for
they do
everyone.
have it together and documented from their committees of prior, and their mission statements, and goals and objectives, and they're setting a precedent for all of Canada pretty much. They jump leaps and bounds in the education field, School District 73. Um, So they pretty much have their organization well put together and thought of everything that needs to be thought of, and they act on it right away. That's the thing I see with them. They act on it right away. It's not just all paperwork.
So,
And
having said that they're leading the way, what is the work that they do directly with educators?
there's actually a booklet on truth and reconciliation that you can get from the website. Get it sent to your schools, to have more knowledge in the sense of children that you're working with. I'm not saying your job will be easier, but at least you'd have those tools that you need should you come across anything that you need answers for. And there's always, I know they have education assistant workers and cultural workers. They have, some schools have elders that come in.
Mhm.
So if you have questions, do not be afraid to go have a coffee or tea with them. That's the best way to gain some knowledge. The other way is if it's personal knowledge that you're seeking culturally or spiritually, then you just offer protocol in the form of tobacco and say, could I, have some discussions with you, of a family nature, or whichever. There's certain protocols that you follow through. But if they're hired on, part of your staff there, then I think you could approach them, and just say,
Mhm.
can we book a time, to have a discussion, say if it's with the student or the family, or to have a sit down and have a circle talks. Sometimes those are better ways to, instead of saying, oh, that child's got to stay in detention,
Mm.
oh, that child's suspended. Because when you involve family, because sometimes the parents or whoever's looking after that child, the caregivers, the don't even know what's going on sometimes. So you have to enlighten everyone to say, let's figure this out.
I like that. Let's
Because,
figure it out.
yes,
Yeah.
the old saying of it does take a community to raise a child.
Hmm.
In this day and age, with a lot of the substance abuse and the addictions out there, it's really easy to lose our young ones to those sources. In a retrospect of being proud of our graduates,
Yes.
and about truth and reconciliation, and sharing a bit about the graduates, and it's everywhere, that a lot of healing needs to be done. And
And we need to be having more of these conversations and connecting, right?
yes, and
Yeah.
understanding too,
Hmm.
because people, they just push people away and say, oh, you're just a homeless person, oh, you're just, there's somebody's child, there's somebody, there's
There's somebody
somebody, you
struggling.
know and
Just even bringing it back to adult education, the same ideas and same thought processes apply, right? To be able to care, to communicate, to better understand culture and
yes,
appreciate. I think at least in the post-secondary institutions that I've worked for, we do have a lot of access to Indigenous resources and support, which is amazing. But sometimes we don't know the questions to ask, and I think and not everyone in their organizations has those opportunities as well, or those resources. So I think what you brought up with offering tobacco and seeking out some sort
hmm
of um, communication or kinship, and
yeah.
being curious, right? The idea of being curious.
So if you don't have access to those certain people in your schools, look to your school district,
Okay.
because they do have a wealth of knowledge there, and they can either at least point you in the right direction, or have someone come join as a visitor to help with the cultural part of it. So that's part of what we're there for. They take their um I say work. I mean, it is work, but they take their livelihood very serious, of the job that they're doing and representing for our children. They're always transpiring something into positive.
Hmm.
And in saying that, it's, cliche, but it's every child matters. And even when I put on that tiny tot powwow, that was my whole initiative too. And it was to do with the schools. So um, I had it zoomed out to schools that wanted to see the tiny tot powwow, because it was a day of acknowledgement, a day for all the schools on that day to um, have some kind of cultural learning. And the reason I say, like with Every Child Matters, we invited the townspeople to the powwow, all three bands surrounding Chase, and even some of the schools that wanted to come. I had schools requesting they wanted to be there. So I had my second Tiny Top powwow this year, and we had at least 300 people there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That would be so cute.
it was.
So
And
cute.
I just figure with the little dancers, blessing our grounds, blessing our gathering and being together, that it represents that the town's children too, like the schools
Mm,
that come, and our children are going to the same schools, that every child does matter. We're not just saying only native children.
that's
We're
right.
saying we're going to be still neighbors. We have to get along together,
Mhm.
and we have to know and respect one another. And I'm not trying to take away from the ones that are trying to say, you know, uh, about First Nations declaration and all the good work that they put into in that sense of the way. My one part is just a part of a whole bigger scheme, but I'm trying to be in the positive, and um, just to say, for instance, too, my dad was Indian residential school, our dad, and um, he went there he was just a little guy, 5 or 6, and I think he was there into his teenage.
Mm,
So he has a lot to speak about, and about the 215, because he was there, and I'm not wearing my lanyard right now, but I got a beautiful lanyard that was made for me from um, my staff that I worked with, and it's 215 cut beads that represents every child that was lost at the Kamloops school, in your residential school. And I have on there a feather that says every child matters. So um, my dad has uh, a more serious tone about saying that he figures that the reconciliation is too premature, that, you know, in his heart, he wants to hold somebody accountable for the children that perished and lineages that were cut. So, from his perspective, it's more serious.
mhm,
And my perspective, because it is out there about the truth and reconciliation. So that's my dad's truth, right?
mhm,
And a lot of others that they have their truths to speak of. So, and that's talking about a lot of intergenerational traumas that have existed and still exist to this day, because you open a wound. And talk a little bit about my nursing. It takes time and layers to heal from inside out.
mhm,
So we can't just band aid the situation. And what I'm talking about, just, giving of the money. But I know there's a lot of healing out there. So when you see a lot of the homelessness and a lot of the people that are caught up into their um, addictions, drugs and alcohol, etc., they have probably an extreme story of traumas. And, it's hard for them to face, and they don't see no way out. But I totally believe in prayers. I totally believe in faith, and education is our tool.
what is next for you? What other projects do you have on the go right now that you're passionate about?
I am working on workshops and retreat for our staff at the education office and for our teachers. So we're all on the same page and getting, not just the policies and code of ethics and conduct and all that. I mean, that is stuff that needs to be talked about too, but in the sense we need to rally them together and get them on the same page so that we're working for the kids, to get
Mm,
what's needed done and get our act together. Because we've lost some good staff because of it. And I'm just like, oh goodness, this should have been done a long time ago. So that's kind of what I do. I see what needs to be done and I do it. I'm going to get one of our esteemed elder representatives from our band that's had successes in different parts of his life and come there and kind of give us some inspiration and say from his mind how he feels that he'd like to see our kids raise up and if we're missing anything, so from his perspective,
mm-hmm. I think
so
that's
to
yeah.
include and not to shut anybody else down, but to see what how they feel as staff too, what they see in the future for our school and their purpose.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really neat. That's the first time I've heard of teachers or educators going on a retreat to really come together to discuss what's important and make sure everyone is together, right? Is acting as a
Mhm.
community and has the same information.
I mean, I still been having my summer, but I've been really busy traveling, and like I
Mhm.
told you, and I think it inspires me a lot to see different places and talk to different people, and then I'm motivated and bring back some knowledge and you know
Yes.
even to my families, and they're just like, but sometimes they're like, Mom, you're gone all the time.
You're always traveling. You have the best stories.
And I'm just like, well, that's my life now, and I enjoy, like, and I was told once by another my elder nurse friend sister. She said, Joanne, as long as you're able to travel and still to do things, do it while you're young as you can. Because there'll come a day you're going to say, no, I can't travel anymore.
Mhm.
I just got to stay closer to home.
Would love to share your family picture if you're open to that.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. And this is only going to be for folks who can actually are watching the video, but it's super cool.
So this picture was taken towards Copper Island. Copper Island would be to the right. The beautiful elder lady on my side there is my mom, Minnie Canoris, and she's quite well known as an elder in our communities and Mama Bear. She's very spiritual and cultural, and her family actually originates from Big Bar area, so that's above Clinton area. So a lot of pioneer cowboys in a sense, and she was pioneer cowgirl herself.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so she's still to this day. She's got her own what she called mini village. So she has a teepee and kikoli pit house and sacred fire and elders gathering place there with a fire pit, and she does healing, and girls clubs come visit her there, women's groups come there, and families come there. So
Mhm.
people seeking some healings and wanting to talk to her or just to come cook with her, and come
Mhm.
have some teachings and feeling in touch with their ancestors and their culture again, because some of them are 60 scoops, some of them never had that chance to make bannock with a gokum or even
Mm,
just to have that chat. So we share our mom with the whole world.
that is so beautiful. And then there's 5 generations here, which is incredible.
My daughter, Carissa, Buffalo Neepus, she's my children are Cree and Schwepmic, originating from Musquecheese. My late husband, Calvin Stewart Buffalo, he passed away in 2008, and also my two sons passed away also. In 2010 and 2016. So my men, they're together, and here we are, us women, 5 generations strong. My daughter, Carissa Buffalo Neepus, is like another right hand girl to my mom.
Mm,
So she moved back to the Shuswap, and I told the family when she moved back because I knew my work as a home care nurse wasn't done in Musquecheese yet. So they moved back before I did, and I said, "You be a sponge with grandma. You learn everything and anything you can learn." And Carissa's quite the handcraft person. So she has the sweat machine. She knows how to make pine needle baskets, and she actually does teaching classes at university, and she's also knows how to do some beading, so she incorporated the two in Cree jewelry.
that's great.
So that was one of her passions, just to do her crafts and travel. But
Yeah.
she's also so big with education. She actually worked in the education department for post secondary, so I'm very proud of my daughter, and she's quite known around our communities with the colleges and universities too. So she always promotes, still to this day, education is our tool. Her dad, he'd always thrive on her to keep on with your education. She's conveyed that to her children also. So I'm so proud of the mama bear
And then
she
you've
is.
got your granddaughter and your great granddaughter.
Yes, and then there's my granddaughter Jaleese. She was doing her first year university also, and she's has a lot of training and schooling behind her. But she's working right now. Very proud of her. She does a lot of beading and artwork also, and she's just a beautiful mommy too. Oh, they really do. And Chris is a great Gokum. I mean, I'm the great Gokum, and my mom is the great great grandma. For my daughter to be a Gokum now, it's just bewildering. And there's our beautiful little Fave, and she's doing the little
Cute.
hand wave there to everybody. And we're all wearing our scarves like the Schwapmic elders, where they cover their hair, right? When they're out at work and protecting their hair. We're wearing our ribbon dresses, and I'm wearing my feather dress that my sister Judy had given me. But yes, and
Beautiful.
baby, she's only 2 years old, and they're teaching her how to speak Shwet prayer and Cree prayer. And she's just a little bundle of joy, and she's so smart. And yeah, and her name's Faven. So Faven Journey, name Journey, is one of my late sons, Joseph Journey. So
Oh,
his middle name is carrying on.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's the
Absolutely.
5 generations, and we're so lucky to have 5 generations. I'm so lucky to have both my parents still, and they counsel us quite a bit, and we have our family meetings. Plus, I think everyone needs to share that joy of visiting your elder, and just letting them know you care.
I'm so appreciative that you're able to share that picture and share your family with us, in addition to your experience working in the school system and towards truth and reconciliation, and how we as educators can enhance that process and that communication and that sense of community within our own classroom. So thank you so much
Yes,
again.
yes. Yeah, I hope I answered or at least enlightened uh, the viewers as much as possible. But I'm only a stone throw away, and remember, you are what you practice
Mhm.
as much as you want to be, and always have good prayers and good thoughts. And if you can't do that, then go to the river and say a prayer there, and yes, always have your faith in your heart, and you'll never go wrong.
That's such a perfect way to end. Thank you so much again, my friend. I appreciate it so much. Love to you and your family.
You also, Sally.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Educator Experience. We hope you're walking away feeling connected, inspired, and just a little bit more supported on your journey. Ready to go a little bit deeper? Join the Educator Experiences community and check out our courses and workshops specifically designed to support new educators as they navigate the ups, downs, and everything in between. You'll find it all at educatorexperiences.com. If today's conversation resonated with you, share it with a fellow educator, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Together, we're building a vibrant community rooted in support and connection. See y'all next Monday.